If you watched my previous video on the Octane lights, you'll remember that this is where we left off, with quite a bit of water in the housings. Since that time, I have contacted Octane via email through their website. I did that over the weekend, and late the following Monday, I received a reply. The reply was basically just to put some silicone around the edge of the housing to seal it, and if I wanted to clean the housing out, I could gain access by removing the bulb from the back. Yes, this is all true, and my first instinct was to put some silicone around the housing. But I wanted to speak with someone at Octane before I did anything with the lights. Also, if you'll notice, there's something loose there in the housing. At the time, I didn't know what that was, but later in the video, I'll show you what that turned out to be. I called and spoke to, I believe it was John at Octane Lighting, and after reviewing my email and videos, he seemed to think that somehow I over-torqued the housing, compromising the seal. Now, if you're familiar with how the D100 lights go together, you've got the bucket, the light housing, and this aluminum bezel, all sandwiched together with 4 tiny little sheet metal screws. There's really no stress on them at all. So I'm finding it hard to believe how I could have over-tightened those 4 sheet metal screws enough to damage the seal. And here's a clip from the previous video where I actually assembled the components as a unit. Now you watch and be the judge. You tell me if you think I over-torqued anything here. In the end though, John agreed to warranty the lights and said he would send me replacement lenses. So I really can't ask for anything more than that, and I appreciate John and Octane Lighting warranting these housings, even though I was technically out of warranty by about 30 days. Peanuts, let's get rid of those. Like I said, I really appreciate Octane standing behind their product. That makes me feel a lot better about using their lights. I did explain to John that the truck had been inside for the last 12 weeks while I was working on it, and that it had only seen a few days of rain. I don't know if that made a difference in his decision or not, but he was kind enough to send me replacements, and these are what I received from Octane Lighting. They look very good, but if you'll notice, these are not what I had originally ordered. I had originally ordered the stock style lenses, and these are definitely not stock style lenses. Now, I'm not going to complain too much about that because they did warranty my lights, even though technically they didn't have to. I asked John about sending the other ones back. He said no need to, just to keep them, and if my silicone job works, I can just keep these as a backup. I may do a comparison in the future between these and the stock style lenses, and we'll see what the difference is there. Here is where I first removed the housings after draining the water out of them. And we're going to remove this LED light and see what that loose piece was inside the lens. You can see here there's a threaded portion on the end of the bulb there. Okay, let's see what was inside. Looks like a plastic tube, my O-ring, and a small plastic cap that threads on to the end of the LED. At the time, I didn't know that's how these went together or that they even came apart like that, so that's something you definitely want to check when installing your LEDs. Make sure that little end cap is tight on there. What I did was to apply a small dab of Loctite to that, reassemble, and hopefully that will keep it from coming apart in the future. Before applying the silicone, you'll want to clean the housings with some alcohol. There's a little groove around the perimeter of the housing. I cleaned that real well with some alcohol on a rag. You want to get that area real clean. And what I decided to do is just fill that little trough up with silicone. I found some 3M industrial silicone. I loaded that up into my caulk gun and proceeded to fill that recessed area full of silicone. Hopefully this will make these housings watertight. When you're finished, you may want to remove any excess from the edges and smooth out your caulking job if needed. Here's a shot of what I ended up with. Next, we'll go to the car wash to put my silicone job through a little torture test. So I gave the truck a quick wash, concentrated on the front end. I washed the whole truck, but I won't make you sit through that. Didn't really overdo it. This is not a particularly high pressure car wash. I'm thinking this should be comparable to driving in a heavy rain at 50-55 miles an hour. So this should be a pretty good test. Well, by the time I got home, which is only about a mile from the car wash, the lenses had fogged up, and as you can see, there is some water in there. Needless to say, I'm a little disappointed. I actually felt pretty confident in my silicone job. At this point, all I can do is try the other housings that Octane sent me and hope that they fare better than these, so stay tuned.